Yo, what up? Is your boy Soulo. Now we're back here again with another episode. And before we get to the topic, I just want to shout out Mooney Mercury for the dope shirt. I like the orange, Timeless Mooney, available on all platforms. I'm featured on 3 tracks. I produced 3 tracks. One of them is called Father Time, Mother Time. Father Time and Mother Nature. The other one is called Singy Rap. And the last one is called We Back. I forgot about that shit. But yeah, I like the orange, you know. I just wish I had some shoes to match with it, but it is what it is. I might get it eventually just to match with the shirt. But yeah, I appreciate it, and you know, let's continue to support within this community. So the topic I want to get into now is people in society who just are too comfortable with capitalism, and people don't consider emotional intelligence when it comes to the environment and the people we live in. And what do I mean by that? People are just too comfortable with the living wages. People got comfortable with how capitalism works, just working, and not giving a fuck about how it's affecting the environment. So people don't take into consideration that not everybody's the same, not everybody's logical, not everybody wants to be practical. People want to make their own jobs, people want to create their own jobs. And you know, unfortunately, we need this system to create our own situation, our own jobs, to branch off. But with all these, you know, hardships and, you know, high expensive rent and products like food that we have to consume, it makes it difficult and hard for individuals like myself to branch off and create my own business. And I can assure you many other people agree with what I'm saying, because nobody wants to work every time, every day for 9 hours or more overtime just to make ends meet and barely get their bills paid or situations across. And we just have a lot of bullshit things going on in this system and economy, where people just wanna people are turn a blind eye when it comes to how the system and how the economy should be. And what I mean by that is we should all be flourishing, we should all be paying attention to what's right, and calling out bullshit when it comes to why are they using our tax dollars for bullshit and for wars, meaningless wars. And why aren't people calling it out? Why are people accepting these type of living wages, and yet they turn a blind eye to the system wasting our tax money for unnecessary convenience? That just makes us lazy and comfortable, but not really affecting giving us more pay, but with this current situation that we're in. It just doesn't make any sense how people just accept the exploit, accept the slave labor. And like I said, there's individuals who are not always logical and practical about how they want to build for themselves, but we still have to do it anyways. And what I mean by that is there's individuals who are logical and practical, and there's individuals who are visionaries and all about their imaginations and creativity, and that involves art and music. So art, music, clothing, things that have to do with self-creation and creating things from the heart. And and there's nothing wrong with working, getting a job, being logical, and building stuff. But the way the system is right now is just overdoing it, and it's oversaturated, and it's not a healthy balance. And we need creativity and imaginations to expand our awareness to how to do things more correctly and practical, so we can use our visions, our imaginations, and our visionary concepts to utilize logic and practicality with it. But we got people here who just want to be logical and practical and don't care about nothing else. And that's like 100%. That's like most people in society. And individuals like these are what's the problem with society, because they only care about going to work and not caring about everybody else. People don't speak against what's not fair, and what's going on within the system, and why they're wasting all this money that we're getting taxed on. Like, why aren't people talking about this? Why is war a thing? That's the main thing that people should be focused on, and people are just bullshitting. And that's what it really is. It's not just war, but like retarded conveniences, like paying too much attention to sports, paying too much attention to upcoming video games that it doesn't really matter, because we have to pay attention to our society and how we need to build this. Why is there so much toxicity, like garbage food, fast food restaurants? Why aren't we implementing herbs and remedies in stores where people can heal themselves? Natural things where people can consume fruits, vegetables, and healthier ways how to make healthier ways of how to make dishes and food, where we can really sustain ourselves and have our minds right, have our spirit right, and conduct ourselves in the right manner in this society with a healthy vibration. But people don't care. People just want to go about their business and go to work, and that's what your spirit resonates with, and that's what your spirit is always going to do, is work, work, work. Even after you die, you're going to keep coming back here. You're going to work, 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 because that's what your spirit resonates with. You like you're subconsciously into that type of concept. And spiritual people like me who are aware, we know what's going on behind the spirit realm and how it's creating the physical realm. So you could mind your business, you could work all you want, but it's unmoral to just turn a blind eye and ignore everything, because at the end of the day, you have to set an example for our kids, our children, and the people around us. And however we do things subconsciously affects the environment. And this is just, I guess this is just gonna be a small video, nothing too long and deep, but I'm gonna just leave it at that. And peace, shout you out.